What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Little Sauce Core, the one who never knows best. And today's video, I want to bring you guys a discussion about Fatal Fury City of the Wolves and the open beta test that's currently taking place right now as I speak, as I record this video. I've got it downloaded and installed, and I'll be trying it out for myself. But I want to talk to you guys because there seems to be a big point of conversation and something that's pretty polarizing right now throughout the community, and it's all I see all over Twitter. I've heard every streamer whose stream that I tuned into talking about it as they're playing the game, and it's just a nonstop conversation that's going on. And not that anyone asked, but I just want to throw in my 2 cents because I feel like I have some things I want to say on the topic. So here we are. First and foremost, I want to start off by saying I think it's incredible that they're having an open beta and you didn't have to pre-order the game or anything in order to get it. It's not a closed beta. It's cool. It's all well and good. You know what I'm saying? Because there's plenty of games where, the only way you're getting access to a beta is if you pre-order the game, or it's a closed beta and you have to get a code, whatever. So that's cool. I don't want to feel as though I'm coming off as entitled or ungrateful or anything like that, and I feel like I need to preface this video by saying that, because if I don't, then it will inevitably come up in the comments down below. So what is the controversy surrounding this game and this beta and everything? Why are people up in arms? What is even the debate? What is even the conversation about? Well, this beta doesn't have training mode. Now immediately you're like, so and I feel you. At the end of the day, I don't think it's really that big of a deal, but I'm kind of the opinion that they have more to gain than they have to lose by including training mode in the beta. So why don't they have it in the beta in the first place? Well, if you've been around in the FGC for a little bit, you know that back when Street Fighter 6 was coming out and they had their beta, they actually had training mode, and that beta ended up getting cracked, and people were playing the crack for the game and practicing for months before the game actually came out. And you could understand, I assume, or imagine why that's a bad thing. You know what I mean? Some players getting an unfair advantage and a month or 2 months or even 3 months head start, I forget exactly how long the time frame was, but getting such a big head start that could, change the landscape of the competitive scene, and it's just unfair and everything like that, right? Here's my thing though. On one hand, I completely understand why a developer would take the stance of, we don't want to add training mode to the game because, first of all, this is a beta test. We're trying to test the network connection. We want players engaging in online matches, stress testing the netcode and the matchmaking, everything like that. Makes total sense. I completely understand that. And of course, you would be encouraged, and I understand why, to just play as many online matches as possible. Beyond that, completely understand not wanting some players to get an unfair advantage by just sitting in training mode. If they end up, especially if they end up cracking the game and just playing training mode for another month or two before this game officially releases. But what I will say about that is that if we keeping it a stat, if we being completely honest, yes, that the whole Street Fighter 6 situation probably changed how beta is going to work for the most part moving forward. Although that being said, we had the beta for 2XKO, and that game had training mode, and I had a blast. You know what I mean? Granted, the content didn't do incredible, but I was still having an incredible time playing the game, hopefully, because it was closed, and maybe when there's an open beta or when the game officially releases, it's a lot more eyes on it. But regardless, even though that this is probably an effect, like direct correlation to that whole Street Fighter 6 situation, if we being honest, the people who were playing the crack and the main culprit who got called out, you know what I'm saying, and was caught, it didn't matter. Like, sure, they won some online events for the first couple of weeks or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But as far as like results go in the grand scheme of things, ain't like they won Capcom Cup, ain't like they went out there and won Evo. The guys who were the top guys, the people who were actually like top players and really good at the game and grinded. Not to say that some of these guys weren't good, or that some good players didn't do it, but it's like the alleged like unfair advantage or head start that some players were getting, I don't think it actually played that much into the competitive scene, especially past like the first month of the game actually being out. And now you could argue, hey, that first month matters, that means something, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not here to dispute that or refute that necessarily, but like the main culprit who was caught cracking the game and had been playing for months wasn't like no scrub, but it didn't really matter in the end. And that's the main argument, right? Is that, oh, well, players would get an unfair advantage. And, because that happened before in Street Fighter 6, you could also then make the case with the argument that more players would do it. I could see how it could become like something that's a little bit more widespread, but I would counter that by saying that if the beta is on PC, it's going to get cracked anyway. And anyone who has the skill or the know-how to do that is going to also more than likely be able to do things like, hey, let me just tinker with these health bars, or tinker with this and that and these gauges and whatever, and essentially make a version of the game, whether they distribute it or not, even if it's just for themselves, to where they can practice and train against the CPU, whether that's in the tutorial or whatever the case may be. So it's like, I understand it's a countermeasure, but if there is somebody who is willing and able to do that, they're still going to do that with what you've given us anyway. So ultimately, I don't really know if it makes that much of a difference. Beyond that, like right before I recorded this video, like so I was checking out some streams. I was watching Sajam's stream, and he made some good points, and I feel the exact same way, where this is a game that I'm not sure if it's really going to be for me. You know what I'm saying? SNK, that style of gameplay, I don't really know if it's like my cup of tea, but I'm grateful for the beta because now I get a chance to try it out. However, with there not being any training mode, I'm basically just going to be throwing myself into online matches, just mashing buttons randomly and wildly and just trying to figure it out by feel. And you're only going to learn so much by doing that. And I think that even though this is a network test, you want people to be playing online matches, while there might be a small handful of players who would just sit in training mode the whole time, that is by far the minority, and the majority of people, they are just going to play online. But even within that group, if you just gave training mode to people and they were just able to spend 5 to 10 minutes or even like an hour on the first day, just like, oh, okay, these are my links, these are my combos, this is, you know what I'm saying? Just try to figure just a few little things about the game, and then they could go play online matches. That's still what they're going to spend 90% of their time doing. I mean, that happened to Scale. Like I said, that's just a recent example. Like, it had training mode. It was an online network test. Yeah, we spent time in training mode, but at the end of the day, most of the time was spent playing online matches, and I was able to have significantly more fun than I probably would have otherwise in that game, because I was able to go into training mode, learn a few combos, learn a few Oki setups, and then take that online. You know what I'm saying? If my experience was just me mashing buttons randomly without having a clue what I was doing, I don't think I would have enjoyed that game as much, especially being someone like myself who has no prior investment or attachment or knowledge whatsoever on like Riot games and characters. Like, I've never played League of Legends, TFT, any of that stuff, so I don't know anything about Yasuo or what was the other girl's name, Ari. You know what I'm saying? I just thought that they looked cool enough, so I was like, okay, I'll try them out, I guess. I tried out maybe a couple of the characters as well, but I think I tried out, what was his name, Echo. But you know what I mean, without having some sort of like prior investment, it's like, okay, well, because with Dragon Ball FighterZ, right, that game was a little bit easier for me to get hyped and excited about back when it came out, and I was playing the beta, even though I didn't really know as much as what I was doing, because I was like, it's just Dragon Ball, I'm just doing stuff with Trunks, and that's cool. But it's not the same when it's something that's a franchise you're not particularly familiar with, or like already have some pre-existing connection with. What I think is probably going to be most people playing this game, at least right now during the beta when it first releases, because it's not like SNK is like on the mainstream scale of like a Tekken or a Mortal Kombat or a Street Fighter. Not to say that the game's not popular, I'm not trying to like downplay it like that, but realistically it's not of that caliber, you know what I'm saying? It's not on that same tier. Also, when you think about it, what do most people want to do in a fighting game? Especially like when we're talking about the casual player base, which makes up the majority of people playing these games, right? They want to do cool combos. And that's why in a game like DBFZ as well, it's like, well, you might not have training mode, but you got auto combos in this game anyway. Fatal Fury, not exactly like that, where you just mash square and you're pulling off something cool, or you mash triangle and you're getting a super and everything like that. You know what I'm saying? It's not quite the same. And well, if people can't pull off cool combos and they're kind of just mashing aimlessly, I think that just makes them less inclined to play the game, and they're just having less fun. And again, obviously combos aren't the end all be all of everything, but I just think that's a big incentive for a lot of people, and without the ability to learn how to perform any of those things outside of just doing it on the fly in an online match and just hoping that you get the hang of it, you feel what I mean? So you have people like myself who gonna be brand new to this. I tried out KOF 15, didn't really care for it that much, so I put it down, you know what I mean? And I haven't played any other SNK game, and this will be my first time, well, not my first time, but I guess my second time trying to stick my teeth into one. And it would be helpful to just be able to spend a few minutes in training on just to understand like how this game even functions, because it's going to be completely unfamiliar to, I imagine, most people trying it out. You know what I mean? The argument, like the biggest argument for not having it is that people will crack it and then play it for the next month or two, which there still might be some changes that happen in the end before the game officially releases, which could change some of the stuff that they learn anyway and can make that advantage not null and void, because some stuff will still carry over, but throw a wrench in that. But also, like, the people who did it anyway, the advantage that they got in the end didn't matter. You know what I mean? Well, okay, again, because I'm trying to see both sides. You could make the argument that some of the players that performed well throughout Street Fighter 6's lifespan so far did have the crack and did get that advantage, and they just never got caught. I guess you could make that case. You can make that argument. That's fair. And to that, I don't really have much of a rebuttal. But I just think that it would encourage more players to actually play the game more and for a longer period of time if there was a training mode in there. Now, at the end of the day, it is just a beta. The game releases soon anyway. Is it that big of a deal? Does it matter? No. And I know I'm inevitably going to get comments on this video, people saying like, why do you care? It's just a beta. Why does it matter? Just enjoy the beta. It's for free. And It's like, I get that. You're missing the point. We're not like, I understand all of that. That's not lost on me. The point is just about whether or not the pros or the cons outweigh one or the other in terms of whether it should or shouldn't have been included. I'm of the mindset that it probably would have been better if it was, you know what I'm saying? And you could say that 2Xkale, well, they were able to do it because that game is so far from release and it was in such an early stage that there's a lot of stuff you might learn that won't carry over whatsoever, you know what I'm saying? Like, we still don't have a release date for that game, and that beta, or really alpha, I think it was an alpha test, right, came out, what, like a year ago at this point already? I don't know. It's been quite some time, and I think that game's supposed to release this year, but we still haven't heard too much. But anyway, yeah, I think it would have done more good than harm. But I understand where people are coming from, saying, oh, I don't want players to get an unfair like advantage. But as far as we know, as far as we are aware, that unfair advantage that some players got didn't really amount to a whole lot when it came to Street Fighter 6. And I don't know if it would amount to a whole lot in this beta or this game, other than players being able to like actually understand the game a little bit more and encourage them to want to play it online a bit more. That's just my 2 cents. You can feel free to disagree. I imagine some people will, but that's just kind of like my stance on it. But you let me know what you think, how you feel. Let me know in the comments down below. Hit this video with a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't already so you can stay tuned for all this content that I'm bringing you. And with all that being said, that's pretty much all I have today. Remember, nothing can happen to you swing the bat. Later.